Tell us about the spiritual practices that you adopted as you were preparing and working on the film. The spiritual practices you adapted for the playing of this role.
Well, in the Passion of the Christ, I took the Eucharist every day, and it's powerful. I mean, it goes right through my DNA. It attaches to it. On the Passion, I would go to confession every day. And then what I would do is, as I was praying the rosary, then I would go into the Aramaic, the Hebrew, the Latin. And that kept my focus very, very strong. And then in this one, I got up early in the morning, and you went to Mass as well. Malta has Catholic churches all over the place, so I just walk out my door, go right inside there, and then I had the relics. I had St. Luke with me. I had St. Paul with me, and then just always prayed the rosary. And then just the rest of it is just, and I have a devotion to St. Genesius. And of course, Our Lady really, she brings so much peace, because constantly when you do films like this, you're always going to be under attack. But I don't see that as a bad thing. It just sharpens me. It makes me stronger. I believe that the devil is more afraid of me than I am of him.
Jim, I want to ask a quick question. You can all take a crack at this. There's a moment in the movie where Paul tells Luke, "We had miserable days together. How I miss them." And I love that. That so captures not only their relationship, but what they went through. And that explains the closeness of this bond. What did that moment mean to you? How did you prepare and show this father-son relationship with a man you barely knew? You knew him for 3 days as an actor.
That was one of those scenes that was done when we were in Malta. Again, another late scene as time goes on. And again, these guys were very flexible and continually making this, something that had just humanness to it. There's humor in this. And I think that, Luke here he's a pagan. He's a doctor. He's got his life made in the shade. I don't know how many times the guys in Hollywood say, "Why are you making all the ruckus here? You got a great life, Jim. You're making money. You're doing that." And it was just this emptiness that I'm supposed to do something more. There are good doctors, and there are bad doctors. What is a good doctor? A good doctor goes out and he administers to his sick, even in the middle of the night. My dad would get up and go help someone else out because he understood their pain, and he wanted to help rid of it. And he would do it at any hour. That's a very good doctor. Bad doctor is essentially someone that does it for money. And you can play it that safe in my business. And I thought about that with Luke, that he had it made in the shade, and yet when he heard Paul speak, his life was changed forever. In fact, he says, "I never saw Christ in the flesh, but the moment I heard you preach, I saw Christ in you." We need to be Christ for others, and that's through our love.
We also wanted to provide a moment where you think about the struggles that we all have in our journey of faith, and some of them were at times we're in the deepest, darkest pits of our lives, and yet because of what Christ has done, we can even still find joy in the midst of that. And we can find, and that joy really does come from the fact that we know people are walking with us in a lot of ways. We have companions. So even in the midst of their trial and the turbulation and the struggles and the journey they went on, you're also you're together in a mission, and you're rooted in something that God has called you, that you're doing together. And it could be a hard moment, but it's different where we may not always experience that happiness of life, but even in those trying times, we can still find joy. And we wanted to show that in the film, to bring a little levity. There's a moment where that can happen.